I tell you what, Kevin McCarthy is a yes vote for an impeachment inquiry. Jim Jordan is a yes vote. James Comer, Jason Smith, many Republicans are a yes vote for an impeachment inquiry right now. And I'm going to argue that we will see it put into action when we go back to Congress, possibly as early as next week. I'm demanding it. And Benny, I'm so serious about this because I know the evidence is there. And I'm so disgusted and embarrassed for our country that we have such a corrupt president that we have allowed to remain in power, and that they have colluded and conspired to cover up his crimes. It is purely disgusting to me, and I will not tolerate it. And that's why I came out very boldly to my constituents at home at a town hall. And I said, I'm not voting to fund the government until we have an impeachment inquiry. I absolutely will not.
Meanwhile,
I wanted to get your take on your colleague, Congressman Matt Gaetz, saying he is prepared to force a floor vote on impeaching President Biden. And if Speaker McCarthy blocks the effort, he is threatening to make a motion to oust Speaker McCarthy. What do you think of that?
Well, I think Speaker McCarthy has said a number of times that he wants to bring a vote on the impeachment inquiry, not necessarily the impeachment, but the impeachment inquiry. So I think he and Congressman Gaetz are on the same page there. I don't think that there is an appetite right now for a motion to vacate Speaker McCarthy. I think that we have three committees that are working very hard on uncovering evidence of Hunter Biden's wrongdoing. They are looking to see if there is a connection with Joe Biden. If they reach that point where they can find evidence of a connection, fine. I think the Republicans will move forward with an impeachment inquiry. Right now, I'm not convinced that that evidence exists, and I'm not supporting an impeachment inquiry.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. You seen that, you heard that, okay? This is exactly what I've been telling you guys about this whole impeachment process, the politics behind it, because I want you guys to understand what's going on here. A lot of you guys really want to see impeachment happen. I want to see impeachment happen. However, again, there's a whole lot of politics behind it, and it's not that simple, because apparently you have some moderate Republicans, like, for example, the guy I just showed you, Ken Buck, who's a representative from Colorado, saying, I'm not getting on board with this impeachment of Joe Biden, okay? And because the Republicans have a thin majority in the House, Kevin McCarthy cannot move forward with an impeachment inquiry vote unless he is absolutely certain that is going to go through. Because if the House rejects an impeachment inquiry, then this whole thing is done, okay? It all comes falling down, and the GOP / conservatives will be embarrassed, okay? Because at that point, the liberal media will say, look, Kevin McCarthy, Republicans couldn't even get their own people to get on board with impeachment of Joe Biden. We told you guys it was a conspiracy. We told you guys it was a nothing burger. We told you guys that they were making this up, that this was a witch hunt. So Kevin McCarthy has to get it right the first time, okay? He has to get it right the first time, which means he has to convince these so-called moderate Republicans to get on board with impeaching Joe Biden. Now, Kevin has seemed to indicate that he's going to do that he will have the votes eventually. Apparently, maybe sometime this month, they will actually vote on moving forward with an impeachment inquiry. But you guys got to know, it's taking time because you have Republicans who are in these swing districts that are afraid of impeaching Biden because of the backlash from it, or the potential backlash from it. They're basically, they're holding this up, okay? They're holding it up. You know, it's just funny. Again, this is just another prime example of the difference between the Democrats and the Republican Party. Democrats didn't give a damn when it came to impeaching Trump, right? All the so-called moderate Democrats who, you know, were voted in districts that are purple, decided, you know what, we're going to move forward with impeachment of Trump anyways, right? So Democrats don't give a damn, right? Republicans, on the other hand, again, you got to deal with people like this who don't want to get on board with impeachment because, you know, allegedly, according to them, they don't see enough evidence. So with that being said, speaking of evidence, the GOP is continuing to try to gather evidence to convince these Republicans to get on board with impeachment. Now we're at the stage where we're trying to get access to emails that were allegedly sent between, Joe Biden and Hunter Biden while Joe Biden was vice president, but under a fake name. Now, we believe that these emails had something to do with Hunter and his business deals, and this is what the GOP is after, okay? However, the White House apparently is blocking this from happening, okay? They're trying to get in the way of the release of these emails, and we have James Comer here, who's one of the Republicans in the House, leading this investigation into Biden, leading the push for impeachment. He's going to give us an update in regards to why the White House is holding up these emails.
A lawyer, but I want to ask you, look, I know you're trying to subpoena, or you have issued a subpoena to get hold of all these emails from the National Archives. Now, there's if my memory serves me, there's 5,400 emails with the aliases that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden used. But that's just there's a lot more emails between the two of them, all of which suggest that Papa was very deeply involved as vice president in the son's dealings. Now, tell us.
Of course he was, right? Anybody with two brain cells to rub together knows what's going on here. Everybody knows. But, because these are accusations coming from Republicans, they have to bend over backwards, right, to move forward with impeaching Joe Biden. When we know if this was Democrats were leading this, they wouldn't have to go through so much in order to actually move forward with an impeachment and to convince the media that this is legit.
Where do you stand on these subpoenas from the National Archives?
Well, the archives is saying that because it happened during the Obama administration, that Barack Obama will have 30 days to review all 5,400 of these emails in the pseudonyms. And then he will decide whether or not he's going to turn it over to the House Oversight Committee. So your guess is as good as mine.
Which is insane, right? It's insane. So Obama has 30 days to review them, okay? And then he can decide whether or not he wants to turn them over. That's insane. That's absolutely insane, right? If I had to guess, that means they're never getting access to these emails. They're never getting access to them.
But at the end of the day, we believe that many of these that were using the pseudonyms also had redactions that pertain to things about Hunter Biden, even redacting the fact that he was copied on these. So what Joe Biden's always said and the mainstream media has always gone along with is that, well, there was no, why are you investigating Hunter Biden? He wasn't a part of the government, and Joe Biden had a firewall between the government and his son. That's not true. We've proven that in the last 2 weeks. There are emails that went back and forth where Hunter's legal team was telling Joe Biden how to spin the narrative about the corruption he got caught in. There was copies where he was copied about Ukraine foreign policy. And we believe there are many more emails that the National Archives is sitting on.
So you want to get your paws on these emails. I get that. Now, I'm not the lawyer, but Jonathan Turley, who's a Fox contributor and a pretty good lawyer, constitutional lawyer.
Very good.
His point, Mr. Chairman, was that if you go into an impeachment inquiry, that would give you greater authority to execute these subpoenas and get your hands on the emails. Now,
yeah, so again, that's where all the politics comes into play here, okay? It's hard to get the evidence that some people say doesn't exist, right? But I'm sure it exists. I think that there's a bombshell at the end of this. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that there is. There are Republicans like, well, I need to be convinced before I get on board with an impeachment inquiry. Well, the whole point of an impeachment inquiry is to have greater authority to gather the evidence, right? That's the whole point. And that's why it's so frustrating that it's taken so long. And Republicans seem to be struggling with getting other Republicans on board with just simply launching a more formal and more authoritative investigation, which that's what an impeachment inquiry is, right? That's all it is. It just gives them more power and authority to look further into what's going on. But, you know, again, Republican Party, like I told you, they're not like the Democrats. They don't move like Democrats. Even moderate Democrats understand putting the agenda first, right, is what matters, right? They even understand. That's why they all got around impeaching Trump. GOP doesn't move that way. Okay, they're looking out for their own jobs first rather than actually trying to, you know, take power and control and to take back this country as a whole. And this is the problem with the GOP. Again, you got Democrats, like, for example, in California, they're calling to have Greg Abbott locked up for sending them illegals. Democrats are actively trying to arrest Trump. They're actively trying to arrest their political opponents. What is the GOP doing? They're struggling to even get an impeachment inquiry. They're struggling. Brian Kemp and the Republicans down there in Georgia, they refuse to investigate Fani Willis and whether or not this charge could be politically motivated or whether or not she's colluding with federal prosecutors. None of that. Don't even want to investigate it. Again, this is the difference between the GOP and the Democrats. And I want people to understand, this is why Democrats grab power, take power, because the GOP allows them to do it. They don't fight back. They ain't got no teeth. They're struggling to even just investigate the Bidens, right, without pushback in their own party. When Democrats, they don't give a damn about unhinged they are. They don't care.
What you think of that? And what you think about the impeachment inquiry as an important weapon here?
I agree with Jonathan Turley. He's a terrific attorney, and I believe he's exactly right. And that's why Speaker McCarthy, I believe, in a few weeks will put this up for a vote among our conference, and I believe it'll pass. I believe even the moderates and the handful of skeptics have seen that Joe Biden's just lied too many times about his knowledge and involvement in his family's shady business schemes. Look, this is going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, political scandal of my adult lifetime. We've got a president that was selling access to some bad people in some bad countries around the world. He's lied about it, and the government has been involved in a cover-up and obstructing this investigation. So these emails where Joe Biden was using an alias, a pseudonym, a fake name, and he was copying his son, and he was coordinating with his son's legal team about spinning false narratives to the American people should be concerning to everyone. And we should do an impeachment inquiry and have every tool at our disposal to get the truth to the American people.
All right. Terrific stuff.
Yeah. So again, like I told you guys, this is the problem with the GOP. They have to do convincing of the so-called moderates, right? Again, if that's your representative who doesn't support the impeachment and you do want to see the impeachment, I don't know, maybe you should exercise your right as a citizen to, you know, let your congressman know, right, by calling him and saying, hey, I want you to vote to impeach Biden, okay? But I'm just saying, that's the difference. GOP struggles with even the basics in regards to actually, you know, doing something, right? Democrats don't. And this is how they get away with the stuff they get away with. But we'll see. I mean, to me, if I had to guess, I think that the impeachment inquiry is going to move forward. I think they'll have the votes. But they have to have the votes the first time around. If they don't, it all falls apart. It's one big embarrassment. And basically at this point, it would really, really, really be a bad thing if they can't get the votes the first time around. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.